Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Going the Distance, the show where we talk about sports and music. On today's show, we've got some football injuries to get into. We've got the Week 4 scores, the Week 5 predictions. We've got the MLB postseason teams that were announced. I'm going to go over the AL and NL teams. And as always, we have the What We're Listening To segment. So I'm going to welcome you guys to episode 95. I can't believe we've done 95 episodes. But if you haven't done so already, hit that thumbs up button and like the video. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. And hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode when I post a video or a short. Alright, so let's jump into it. So on Sunday, we had a lot of injuries happen, but the big one happened with Malik Nabers of the New York Giants. He's a wide receiver in his second year. They were playing the Chargers at, I believe it was MetLife Stadium, and he came down awkwardly on his leg, tore his ACL, and this is also the game where Jackson Dart started. He's the rookie quarterback, started for the Giants. So Malik Nabers is done for the season. As of now, in his 2 seasons with the Giants, he's had 127 receptions, 1,475 yards, and 9 touchdowns. This is his career statistics as of week 4 of this year. And he's been doing this, like I said, for 2 years. So we wish him a speedy recovery. And even though I'm not a huge Giants fan, I don't root for these guys to get hurt. And especially not as bad as Malik Nabers or the next one we're going to talk about. Because this next player we're going to talk about, it's horrific. And who's that player, you might ask? It's TYREEK Hill. So last night, TYREEK Hill and the Dolphins were playing the New York Jets. We'll get into those scores here in a little bit. But TYREEK Hill dislocated his knee and tore his ACL last night in a horrific injury. He was tackled at his knee, and when he got tackled, his knee dislocated and his leg just turned. If you guys want to see the video, go look at it. It's pretty horrific. It ended his season this season, and his 2026 season is kind of uncertain right now because of how bad the injury is. So, we know TYREEK Hill. In fact, when I think TYREEK Hill, I think Kansas City. He was with Kansas City from 2016 to 2021. He was a 5th-round pick, 165th overall. He's won the Super Bowl with the Chiefs. He won the Super Bowl back in the 2019 season when the Chiefs played the San Francisco 49ers, and the Chiefs beat them 31-20. Now, you might ask, okay, yeah, he's a great player. What do his stats look like? I'm glad you asked. He's had 819 receptions for 11,363 receiving yards. He's had 83 receiving touchdowns. His return yardage, because he does special teams too, is 1,439. He's had 5 return touchdowns, 819 rushing yards, which is kind of cool because that's how many receptions he's had. And he's had 7 rushing touchdowns. And back when he was with Kansas City, he was Patrick Mahomes or Kermit the Frog's go-to guy. Well, don't really know what. I think his contract ran out, and he wanted to re-sign, but they couldn't re-sign him. But he ended up going with the Miami Dolphins for the time, and he's been with the Dolphins since 2022. Wow, I thought it had been longer than that, but he's been a good playmaker for him. So, here's what it says. On March 23rd, 2022, the Chiefs traded Hill to the Dolphins in exchange for a 2022 first-round pick, which they previously acquired from the Niners. So his contract didn't run out. He was traded. And I think now that I see that, I remember he wanted to be traded because he didn't feel like he was getting the receptions that he wanted. So, or that he deserved. So he was traded to the Dolphins. And he's been good for the Dolphins. But, then the big talk was, well, who's going to be Mahomes' go-to guy now? Well, we know that is Travis Kelce. So we see how well that goes. Okay, so moving into some Week 4 scores. I know you guys are dying to hear this. On Thursday night, we had the Seahawks at the Cardinals. The Seahawks defeated the Cardinals 23-20, and that looked like it was a good game. Sam Darnold was 18-26, 242 yards and 1 touchdown. So Seattle improves to 3-1, and the Cardinals dropped to 2-2. Now that was a division game, so there's that. Moving on, we had an overseas game, and I apologize I didn't say that to you last week, given the predictions, but the Vikings and the Steelers traveled over to Dublin, Ireland, and they played at 9:30 on Sunday morning. Well, the Steelers defeated the Vikings 24-21. However, the Vikings were on a comeback because in the third quarter of the game, the score was 24-6. Actually, I believe it was 24-6 in the fourth quarter. And then out of nowhere, like in 20 minutes, the Vikings are this close to the Steelers and actually had a chance to win. But in the end, the Steelers improved to 3-1 and the Vikings dropped to 2-2. So on Sunday, we had the Falcons improve to 2-2, defeating the Redskins, who dropped to 2-2. The Falcons defeated the Commanders 34-27. The Bills improved to 4-0, defeating the 0-4 Saints 31-19. Yes, the Saints dropped to 0-4. The Lions improved to 3-1, defeating the Browns, who dropped to 1-3 in a 34-10 victory. So the Lions did good there. The Patriots defeated the Panthers 42-13. So the Patriots improved to 2-2, and the Panthers dropped to 1-3. In the game that I was telling you about earlier with Malik Neighbors and Jackson Dart, in a surprise win, everybody is surprised about this, me especially. The Giants beat the Chargers 21-18. So the Giants improved to 1-3 and hand the Chargers their first loss of the season. So now the Chargers are 3-1. In a very exciting game, the Eagles defeated the Buccaneers 31-25. The Eagles are 4-0, and the Bucs dropped to 3-1. Now, the only two undefeated teams in the NFL right now are the Bills and the Eagles. The Buccaneers could have beaten the Eagles. I swear they could have. If they had had, like, Chris Godwin and Mike Evans healthy, it would have been a piece of cake. But Godwin's still out. Evans has a hamstring injury. And the Buccaneers, have a complete team. I see the Bucs going to the playoffs this year. Moving on, the Texans got their first win of the season, defeating the Titans 26-0. And I'm really surprised about that. Because, yes, I like Houston. I like the Titans. But the Titans have their number one overall quarterback in Cam Ward. So, what's going on, Cam? Is the NFL too big? I mean, yeah, it is your rookie season, so I'm cutting you a little bit of slack. But it's week 4 of the season. What's going on? I mean, by week 4, you ought to have your jitters worked out. You ought to know this offense, and you ought to be ready for anything that comes. So we're still waiting for that first win for you guys, Titans. But congratulations on getting your first win, Texans. Hopefully this is the start of something, big. Moving on, the Rams defeated the Colts 27-20. And that's surprising with the way Daniel Jones, I couldn't think of his name, the quarterback for the Colts. The way Daniel Jones has been playing, it's unbelievable. And I'm really surprised. In fact, I'm more impressed with Daniel Jones than I am Sam Darnold. And I'm not going to be impressed with Sam Darnold. Don't worry. You'll never hear me say, "Oh, that was impressive," coming from him. No. I'm impressed with what I see Daniel Jones doing. I may not be a huge fan, but it's still, maybe the Colts were the team he was looking for. In another surprise game, the Jaguars defeated the 49ers 31-21. So now both teams are 3-1. Go figure. In one of the late games, the Chiefs defeated the Ravens 37-20. And in that game, Lamar Jackson got a hamstring injury. Don't know what happened. I was working this weekend, so I didn't see actually what happened. But Lamar has a hamstring injury. And the Ravens are 1-3. They're at the bottom of their division. The Chiefs are 2-2, and I believe they're at the bottom of their division. So there's that. The Bears defeated the Raiders 25-24. So the Raiders dropped to 1-3, and the Bears improved to 2-2. I guess Ben Johnson finally has his stuff worked out now. And y'all, in what I consider the game of the week, and it was the only game I got to see, on Sunday, because like I said earlier, I worked. So when I got home from work, I got to see the Cowboys and the Packers play. And this was Micah Parsons' return to Dallas. And honestly, looking at it from the outside, I thought with the way Dallas has been playing, Green Bay's going to go in there and they're just going to run all over the Cowboys. Micah Parsons is going to be sacking Dak. He's going to be going after, the offensive line because he just has an axe to grind with them. That wasn't the case, y'all. I'm sure y'all have heard. If you haven't, that's why you're coming to me. The Packers and the Cowboys tied at 40. Each team scored 40 points, and they went into overtime. That was a great game. Now, they got that 40 because it was back and forth. I mean, I didn't see a punt. Maybe one punt throughout the whole game. Throughout regulation. In overtime, there was a punt, I believe. However, in overtime, at the end of the game, the Cowboys kicked the field goal to tie the game at 37 with no time left on the clock. They go into a 10-minute overtime because as the rules changed, it's a 10-minute overtime instead of 15 minutes, and you only get one overtime. You don't go multiples. And each team has a chance to possess the ball. So, that being said, the Cowboys get the ball. They drive down the field. They kick a field goal. Would have loved to have had a touchdown, but they got the field goal, which gave Green Bay a chance at the ball. What happens? The Packers go down the field. They run to a fourth down in field goal range. They kick a field goal with no time left, with 1 second left on the clock. They play it where there's 1 second left on the clock and kick the field goal to tie the game at 40. So now the Packers' record is 2-1-1. The Cowboys' record is 1-2-1. And I'm not a huge fan of ties, just like I'm not a huge fan of the 2-point conversion. But they happen. Anyway, in my opinion, that was the game of the week. So moving on to last night, the Dolphins defeated the Jets 27-21. Both teams were 0-4. However, after last night, the Dolphins improved to 1-3. The Jets dropped to 0-4. But at what cost did the Dolphins win? They lost TYREEK Hill for the season and possibly next season with that dislocated knee and torn ACL. And I still think Tua's lost his edge, but that's just me. And in the other game, we had the Broncos not just beat, but embarrass the Bengals 28-3. So now the Broncos are 2-2 and the Bengals are 2-2. So what do you guys think of this? What was y'all's game of the week this week? I'd like to know. Let me know in the comments. So moving on, we're going to talk about some predictions for the next week, week 5 predictions. So starting on Thursday night, we have the 3-1 49ers at the 3-1 Rams. This being a home game, I think I'm still going to pick the 49ers in that game. And that's Thursday night on Prime Video. So on Sunday, we have another overseas. We have a game over in London. I remembered this time. We have the Vikings playing overseas again against the Cleveland Browns. The Vikings are 2-2. The Browns are 1-3. I'm picking the Vikings in that game. Coming back to our country, we have the Raiders at the Colts. I'm picking the Colts. We have the Giants at the Saints. I'm actually picking the Saints in this game. The Cowboys at the Jets. I'm actually picking the Cowboys. The Broncos at the Eagles. I'm picking the Eagles. The Dolphins at the Panthers. I'm going to pick the Dolphins in that game. The Texans at the Ravens. Both teams are 1-3. But with Lamar's hamstring injury, pending, I'm picking the Texans in that game. We have the Titans at the Cardinals. I hate to say it, but I'm picking the Cardinals. But this could be the Titans' first win. Who knows? But I'm still picking the Cardinals because they seem like they have a more complete team. And there's more to it. We have the Buccaneers at the Seahawks. I'm picking the Bucs. I think the Bucs bounce back and beat the Seahawks in Seattle. We have the Lions at the Bengals. I'm picking the Lions. The Redskins or the Commanders at the Chargers. I'm picking the Chargers in that game because here again, Jaden Daniels didn't play for the Redskins last week. That was Marcus Mariota, and I haven't heard anything about his status for Jaden Daniels' status for this week so far. So I'm picking the Chargers only on the sole fact that I don't know how Jaden Daniels is going to do. And then in what I'm going to consider the game of the week, and this is a hard one for me to pick, y'all. The Patriots at the Bills. We have the 2-2 Patriots traveling to the 4-0 Bills. Now, my heart tells me to go with the Patriots because the Patriots are my team. However, the Bills are playing at a Super Bowl level. Josh Allen is still playing at his MVP rank, and they're playing at home. So, my heart tells me the Patriots, but my head's telling me Buffalo. You know what? I'm not picking that game. I like both teams. I'm not going to pick this game. I just want to see a good game, y'all. So, on Monday, we have the Chiefs at the Jaguars. And you know what? I'm going to actually pick the Jaguars in the upset. I just honestly think, unless something big, and they're playing in Jacksonville. So I'm actually going to pick the upset and pick the Chiefs, or pick the Jaguars this week. And for the bye weeks, yes, we start our bye weeks this week. We have the Falcons, the Bears, the Packers, and the Steelers are on their bye week. So, who are y'all's predictions for week 5? Let me know in the comments. Who's y'all's favorite team? Who are y'all excited to see? And who's y'all's surprise team so far this year? So far, I haven't really picked my surprise. I don't really know my surprise team. In fact, I kind of think it's the Chargers right now, but the Chargers are playing now how I think they should have been playing all along. So moving on, we're starting the Major League Baseball postseason. In the American League, we have the Blue Jays at number 1 and the Seattle Mariners at 2. They each have a bye week this week. So, on the 30th, so actually today, today, Tuesday, we have at 1 o'clock, we have the Detroit Tigers traveling to the Cleveland Guardians. The Tigers are ranked 6th and the Guardians are 3rd. And then at 6 o'clock on ESPN, both of these games are on ESPN, by the way, we have the number 4 ranked Yankees against the number 5 Red Sox. The Red Sox travel to the Yankees. And like I said, the Mariners and the Blue Jays are on a bye week. So they won't play until October 4th. In the National League, the number 1 team is the Brewers. The number 2 team are the Phillies. And today, at 3 o'clock, we have the number 4 Chicago Cubs going up against the number 5 San Diego Padres. The Padres travel to Chicago to play the Cubs. And that's at 3 o'clock on ABC. And at 9 o'clock on ESPN, we have the number 3 Dodgers playing the number 6 Reds. The Cincinnati Reds travel to the LA Dodgers at 9. And the bye weeks are the Brewers and the Phillies. Those games are going to be played on October 4th. So, I know this is new. I know I don't talk about baseball that much because there's so many games and I couldn't keep up with all of the scores and everything. But who are y'all's favorite baseball teams? And who do y'all want to see win the World Series? Honestly, even though I like the Red Sox and I like the Dodgers, I would love to see them go to the World Series together. But I think in the end, I think the Dodgers are going to win the World Series and send Clayton Kershaw out in his retirement on top, which I think is the right thing to do. So, that was all for sporting news. So now let's move into the music portion and talk about who we're listening to. And who are we listening to this week? We're listening to Building 429. They're a Christian rock band out of Fayetteville, North Carolina. They formed in 1999. I found out about them in 2008. Their debut album is Space in Between Us. They've had 10 studio albums, 13 singles, 4 compilation albums, and 1 live album. In fact, their new album is called Live The Journey, and I believe that was in 2018, so they haven't done a new album since 2018. My favorite album from them is their self-titled album, even though I think they've got a great sound and I like all their music. But in the what song we're listening to, I guess I should say what album we're listening to this week. Listen to the self-titled album and just get inspired, because this Christian Christian music in general is just inspiring and makes you happy and uplifts you, and you feel like you can conquer the world because you've got Jesus on your side, and you always have Jesus on your side. And I love that. I love having Jesus on my side, knowing I can do anything because I have Jesus with me. But that's all I've got for this week, y'all. I hope you guys enjoyed it. As always, hit the thumbs up button. like the video, hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already, hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode, and share this video out, and comment your thoughts. Who are your baseball teams? Who are your football teams? Who you're listening to? What's your favorite genre in music and bands and artists? But I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the week. Enjoy the baseball playoffs starting this week and the football, and we'll be back next week. God bless.